I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers.
Let's begin this hour with the latest on the Iran war. President Trump says he has an agreement with Iran that the nation will never have a nuclear weapon.
He says 10 countries in the Middle East are on board, but Iran has not confirmed that and says nothing has been finalized. This comes after the president canceled another night of strikes on Iran just hours after threatening escalation. NBC News Washington reporter Alice Barr joins us now with the latest. Alice, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah and Joe. 2 U.S. officials tell NBC News that American forces were just about 3 hours away from launching new strikes inside Iran when President Trump called it off in favor of a deal that he says is going to get done, though it's not clear yet if Iran agrees. After 2 nights of attacks in the Middle East, there was relative quiet overnight after President Trump canceled another round of strikes and announced an agreement with Iran was taking shape.
We just made a great settlement of the war with Iran.
The president describing it as a very strong memorandum of understanding.
That is a little conceptual, but it's something that's going to get done.
And saying it accomplishes his central goal.
They will not have a nuclear weapon. They've agreed to that.
But in a statement, Iran's foreign ministry spokesman said Iran has not yet reached a final decision regarding an agreement and will not compromise on its red lines. In a sign of lingering tensions after the president's announcement, a U.S. official said last night American forces shot down 2 Iranian drones that were trying to strike commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz. The president says those attacks will stop under the new deal and the strait will fully reopen.
And you'll have oil prices dropping like a rock.
Oil prices did drop on the news, though President Trump has said a deal was close before. He was pressed on why he's convinced this time is different.
Because they've taken a pounding. They've taken a pounding like very few people could take. And they want to make the deal a lot more than I do.
The president saying documents should be finalized in the next few days and predicting a signing in Europe as soon as this weekend, as questions remain about Iran's commitment. Before announcing an agreement was within reach, President Trump said he was considering taking Karg Island, Iran's main oil export hub. That would have been a serious escalation, and lawmakers in both parties were raising concerns about the potential for U.S. boots on the ground under that scenario. Savannah and Joe.
Alice, also Israel says it is not a party to this agreement. That's the language they used. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, that's an important piece of this. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office put out a statement saying that Israel was not party to the memorandum, though it notes that President Trump did speak yesterday with Netanyahu about it, and that Netanyahu expressed his appreciation for the president's commitment to a final agreement, including some of the main Israeli priorities, getting rid of Iran's nuclear materials and its nuclear infrastructure and limiting missile production. It's not clear if that is in this agreement and if Iran would agree. Guys.
All right, Alice, thank you so much.
Closer to home, the president is changing course on his plans for a top national security position. Yesterday, President Trump announced he was nominating U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton to be his permanent director of national intelligence.
The move comes after swift backlash from both parties over his first choice, housing official Bill Pulte, who has no experience in intelligence. President Trump nominated Pulte just 10 days ago and said repeatedly that he'd only be in the role temporarily.
NBC News legal affairs reporter Gary Grumbach joins us now with more on this. Gary, good morning. So President Trump selected Clayton under pressure from Republicans to choose a permanent pick for director, with Tulsi Gabbard, of course, leaving the position. What can you tell us about his background, and do we know if Bill Pulte will still be involved at all?
Yeah, for the next few days at least, he's going to be the continued U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. And in that role, he's prosecuted Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro and dozens of drug and sex trafficking cases. He's a lot of government experience. He worked at the SEC, also worked at a big law firm here in New York City. And he was actually recommended for the role by CIA Director John Ratcliffe. So clearly somebody who folks inside the intelligence world do like and appreciate. Trump did tell reporters yesterday that Bill Pulte will be staying in the role as an acting position until Clayton is confirmed, which could come as early as next week.
Gary, this comes as the White House is gearing up for a different kind of fight. This is on the South Lawn on Sunday. The White House unveiled its setup for this UFC fight celebrating President Trump's 80th birthday and the nation's 250th. After weeks of construction, our viewers might have seen some pictures of this going up on the lawn. There is a lawsuit, though, seeking to block the fight from happening. What can you tell us?
Yeah, 2 Virginia residents are really upset that they can't see the White House from the sidewalk outside of the White House. And they're correct. I was there yesterday. They can't see the White House. But that does not seem to be a strong enough argument for a federal judge to actually block this from happening on Sunday. Again, this has been a 3.5-week process. The UFC has put in $60 million into this. Now, whether or not a private for-profit sporting event can happen on the South Lawn is another issue. But it doesn't seem to me like the judge is going to rule in favor of these 2 Virginia residents. We should find out for sure later today.
Gary, also an investigation is underway after giant markings of the numbers 8647 appeared on the National Mall yesterday. Not the first time these numbers have made headlines. So what do we know about this investigation and just what the administration is saying?
Yeah, investigators rushed to the scene yesterday after they saw people that were in the Washington Monument saw this 8647 on the ground of the National Mall. You could really only see it from high above. 86, of course, means to get rid of something, and Trump is the 47th president of the United States. But in a separate case, a federal judge this month had ruled that an 8647 flag being flown by protesters at a courthouse here in Washington actually is not a threat, and the numbers constituted free speech. The Interior Department and Park Police say they are investigating this act of vandalism.
All right, Gary Grumbach, thank you so much.
Well, 66 million are waking up under the threat of severe weather this morning. This is after another major outbreak of tornadoes throughout the Midwest overnight, with at least 17 twisters reported across 4 states. Outside Chicago, a tornado tore the roof off a home and destroyed several buildings before causing chaos downtown. And about 100 miles southwest of the city, you can see the damage from a tornado here, leveling trees and homes. That is where we find NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa. She's there this morning, and she brings us the very latest. Maggie, good morning.
Hey, guys, good morning. By the light of day, you can see this damage is just breathtaking. I mean, this home behind me, obviously completely destroyed. And neighbors just told us a couple overnight was rescued from that rubble, trapped in that basement after the tornado hit. And then you look just past it. It's not just this home. Home after home just left in pieces here. This entire area in this small city of Streator was completely ravaged by this twister. One man, we have video of the man being pulled from this home, from the rubble, spotted first by a photojournalist before eventually being rescued by police officers. It was an insane night here. No reports of any serious injuries at this moment, but of course, damage and assessments are still coming in. Meanwhile, back in Chicago at Midway Airport, both passengers and air traffic controllers rushed to safety as well as these severe storms rolled in. The wild weather causing thousands of flight delays and cancellations across the country. And these storms were widespread. We also saw damaging hail in Iowa and blinding rain from Wisconsin up through Pittsburgh. Also, we have record heat, as if that's not enough, hitting up and down the East Coast, even triple digits in the Carolinas. It has been, to bring it back to the Midwest here, an exhausting week of severe weather. But what roared through overnight with this massive twister hitting here was obviously particularly devastating. By the light of day, you can just get an idea of what the cleanup is going to be like here, guys. Obviously, a long and beyond difficult road ahead. I'll send it back to you.
All right, Maggie, thank you.
And that entire system Maggie is covering is now headed east. So let's bring in our friend Al Roker for the latest.
He's got that and everything you need to know for your weekend. Al, good morning.
Hey, kids, good morning. And yesterday, so we had this big low pressure system up in Canada crawling across less than 10 miles per hour. And that created round of thunderstorms pinwheeling around that low pressure system. Well, here's what we've got. This afternoon, 66 million people at risk for dangerous weather, wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour, isolated hail. The good news, the tornado risk low from Burlington all the way down into the Virginias. Now, here comes the next round of storms sweeping across the plains, bringing in heavy showers, thunderstorms, tornadoes possible, especially from Quincy, Illinois, Kansas City, down to Springfield, possibility of those tornadoes, damaging winds, and hail. And then we move into Sunday afternoon, and that threat now develops along the mid-Atlantic into the northeast, the Delmarva Peninsula. 23 million people at risk for wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour. Good news again, hail risk low, tornado risk is low, so that's not so bad. Now, we talk about the heat. Anywhere from Albany, Boston, northern New England, all the way down to Wilmington, we are talking about high heat and humidity combining for heat index problems. Record highs possible stretching through tonight from Plattsburgh all the way down to Columbia, South Carolina. These temperatures combined with the humidity they're going to be rough, but also record breaking possibly for Roanoke, Virginia, Charlotte. Look for Raleigh, 102 degrees today, 96 in Elizabeth City. We make our way into today into the Northeast. Look at this. Concord, Mass. may see a record of 90, touch that record near 97. Scranton, PA, 91. A record of 92 in Hagerstown. Probably break that record as well. Rest of the country today, big fire risk out in the west where it has been bone dry. Plenty of sunshine along the west coast. Severe storms and record heat making their way through the Midwest and the Northeast. Sunny and mild around the Great Lakes. Going to be gorgeous. A few showers in northern Texas. That is your latest weather. Have a great day, everybody. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Al. All right, starting today, your money can shoot for the stars by investing in one of the most closely watched companies in the world. In just a few short hours, SpaceX will begin trading on the Nasdaq exchange in what is set to be a historic debut in the stock market.
During today's initial public offering, Elon Musk's SpaceX, an AI company, will go public with an astronomical valuation of about $1.7 trillion. Could be a major test of just how much the artificial intelligence boom can generate stock demand. It's also a referendum on Elon Musk himself.
Let's break this all down with Caleb Silver. He joins us here on set. He is the chief business editor of People Inc. and editor-in-chief of Investopedia. Caleb, as always, it's so great to have you with us on this one. This is big news here. They're set here, SpaceX is, to set its IPO share price at $135. This is interesting because it's like a space company, also an AI company. So walk us through what this means and what you think of that price.
Yeah, that's a heavy price, and the company's going to raise some $75 billion just today. That could be $700 billion worth for Elon Musk, who is the controlling shareholder of this company. You're probably familiar with SpaceX and some of the rockets, but the businesses inside SpaceX are fascinating. You got, obviously, SpaceX. That's the Falcon rockets. That's the rocket launches. You got Starlink, the internet service provider that is providing internet service from space. Starshield, this is the defense contracts that this company has with the government. And then Starship Plus must merge SpaceX with xAI. That's what we used to call Twitter. So there's a lot wrapped into this company right now, and that's why the valuation is so high, but he's got a big controlling interest.
It is fair to say Elon Musk has become a controversial figure, in part because of his involvement with the Trump administration, the Doge cuts, things like that. Is there any worry that that could impact just demand for the stock as it sets to?
I don't think so. There's a lot of Elon Musk believers out there, people who have been betting on Elon Musk since he founded Tesla. Tesla was originally an electric car company, but it's really a battery company. And there are thoughts that he'll eventually merge Tesla with SpaceX and have this massive conglomerate that does battery-powered everything, robotics, robotic agents, plus space exploration. He's the key man risk. But if you've invested alongside Elon Musk over the last 15 to 20 years, you've done very well, despite what you might think of his personality.
So we keep on talking about how this is going to be big. Right now on our screen, it says set for the largest stock market debut ever. I mean, here's just how big it's set to be, 3 times larger than the last biggest IPO on record. What does that do to the market itself?
Yeah, it puts a lot of new shares into the market. And plus, this is a company that a lot of people are interested in and want to invest in. The question is, are they going to sell some of their other investments to invest in SpaceX? And following SpaceX, we're probably going to get IPOs of companies like Anthropic and OpenAI. This could open the floodgates for a lot of new companies to come to the market that potentially could be the future of the way we do business, of this new economy that we're building through AI. So the question is, are investors going to shift out of the companies we've been invested in, the Microsofts and the Apples of the world, and start investing in these new companies? That could actually drag the market lower. This is going to be a fascinating day to watch because there's so much anticipation here. That said, you don't have to buy in and rush in to buy these IPOs if you're a retail investor. This company is going to get added to the Nasdaq and to all the indexes pretty soon. You'll own it whether you want to or not.
So knowing what's ahead, what happens happens today and what happens after today. Just what is your advice to people when it comes to making investments, especially with these IPOs?
Yeah, I get it. If you want to own a piece of this company, you're fascinated, you like investing along with Elon Musk, then buy a little piece, buy a few shares. But IPO days are never good days to try to time the market. If you think this company is going to be big and around in the next 10 years, you could buy a few shares today, wait a couple of weeks and see how this price shakes out. You don't have to get overly excited about this just because Wall Street is and everybody's talking about it on the financial news networks.
All right, Caleb Silver, good advice. Thank you so much.
Hall of Fame golfer Phil Mickelson is now banned from his own country club over allegations of misconduct. Golf Digest reports that the six-time majors champ is accused of making inappropriate physical contact with a female employee. An attorney for Mickelson denies the claim. NBC News correspondent Emily Ikeda has the details.
Legendary golfer Phil Mickelson banned from his longtime club amid allegations of misconduct. Golf Digest reporting that earlier this spring, according to multiple sources, Mickelson approached the female employee at the clubhouse where he made non-consensual and inappropriate physical contact with her. The employee rejected his advances and reported the incident to supervisors at the Farms Golf Club. He was confronted with the accusation on the course and left the course. That's long served as a training ground for the San Diego native ahead of major competitions. When asked about the Phil Mickelson allegations, the Farms Golf Club outside of San Diego said in a statement to NBC News, following a staff member report of member misconduct, the club conducted a thorough independent investigation, adding this individual is no longer a member without naming him. It comes after Mickelson announced in April he would step away from competition for an extended period of time while tending to a family health matter, and on the heels of several controversies involving Saudi-backed Live Golf and gambling. But Mickelson's camp hitting back. A defamation lawyer who says he represents Mickelson telling Golf Digest there is a great deal of misinformation circulating. And a spokesperson for the golfer adding, any misunderstanding has been cleared up. Phil continues to attend to a family health matter and is uncertain when he will be able to return to professional golf. Emily Ikeda, NBC News.
All right, we've also got some sad news from the art world this morning. David Hockney, arguably one of the most influential painters of the 20th and 21st centuries, died at his home in London on Thursday, according to his publicist.
David Hockney was born in England but spent decades working in Los Angeles, making images that captured the wealth and the sunshine of Southern California. He was also a prolific photographer and in recent years was known for his interactive digital art pieces and drawings on his iPad. His last painting was a piece of graffiti on a museum wall that simply read, "Love, Life." David Hockney is survived by his longtime partner. He was 88 years old.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.